Whales are known as the gentle giants of the ocean. They are extremely large creatures that allow our oceans to be healthy and diverse. Unfortunately, these creatures are threatened by many factors, including a practice that has been around for centuries: whaling. During the 18th, 19th, and 20th centuries, whaling commonly occurred so that the whales could be used to produce commercial products like oil, corsets, and perfume. However, due to the high level of whaling, the species almost became extinct. This led to a worldwide debate over the controversial issue. To combat the issue, the International Convention for the Regulation of Whaling was signed in Washington, D.C. on the 2nd of December 1946. Whaling is now controlled by the International Whaling Commission, the IWC, which was created under the convention. In 1986, the IWC put a total ban on commercial whaling and only allow indigenous communities who use traditional methods to continue. Whaling for scientific research is also allowed, however this has resulted in a few countries like Japan, Norway, and Iceland taking advantage of this and continuing to hunt whales on large scales. The issue of whaling affects the common good because it goes against the principle stewardship of creation. Mass whaling is not like traditional whaling performed by indigenous peoples, because unlike indigenous populations, they overkill the whales, which will lead to extinction. As humans, we have a responsibility to work together to protect and nurture our environment and the creatures within it rather than destroying it. Plus, the environment needs to be preserved for the sake of future generations. We may be humans, but we are reliant on the earth, so we should look after it. Furthermore, the common good is about everyone being interconnected and having good relationships in order to flourish. Countries exploiting laws in order to continue whaling are fracturing these relationships. Many pro-whaling nations, particularly Japan, feel the total whaling ban is an attack on their country. Yes, we being a pro-whaling nation believe it is an attack on our culture. Many Westerners feel sad for the whales, however they don't think twice about consuming pork or chicken. Many of us in our country can't comprehend why whaling is so taboo. Due to the whaling ban, Japan has been claiming to only be whaling for scientific research. However, this isn't true. Japan has used it as a loophole to continue whaling for commercial purposes. We have been put in difficult position. Basically, the right to our culture has been taken away from us. It is a tradition that has been around for many centuries, and Western nations should try to understand from our point of view. Yes, there is definitely a lack of understanding of Japan's whaling practices, especially from Australia, New Zealand, and the United States. Now, is it true that there is divided opinions about whaling within the Japanese community? Yes, there is, and I believe it's due to influences from Western countries and groups like Greenpeace. Some in Japan believe what Greenpeace does to our fleets is disrespectful and wrong. Others now think our whaling practices should be completely stopped. I think the most interesting and relevant view is the understanding that whaling should be stopped or decreased if the creature is nearing extinction. However, not just because the creature is more lovable and popular among people. What about cows and pigs? What would you like to be done about the issue? I think many of us in Japan believe the ban should be lifted. We understand about the threat of extinction, however that can still be monitored. Western countries should stop drowning us out when we try to explain that whale meat is a part of our culture, just like certain animals they eat is a part of theirs. There is no way the ban should ever be lifted. The fact that we have a ban and whaling still continues to be a major issue is absurd. So why is Greenpeace so against whaling? It is threatening the whaling species. Commercial whaling must be stopped. We at Greenpeace believe the whaling industry is corrupt and irresponsible. There are many countries that are now voting to lift the ban of commercial whaling. However, it's only because the Fisheries Agency of Japan are providing fishery aid to developing nations in return for a vote in Japan's favour. Such behaviour is unethical and it's unfair. Some of the action taken by Greenpeace and other conservation groups has been quite extreme. Do you think the harassing of whale fleets is worth the danger and risk? It may be seen as unnecessary. However, how else will we save the whale species? How else will we stop it from happening? I believe what we do is worth the risk, and I would board one of those ships again to fight for what is right. They are beautiful creatures that should not be tortured. The issue of whaling is difficult to solve due to the conflict of interest. The common good is about working together so that everyone can flourish. However, when there is arguments and disagreements, this can be impossible. In order for this issue to be resolved, there needs to be communication and more understanding. Where there is hostility and disruption between groups, issues are unlikely to be resolved, and instead there will be increased fighting. The common good is about looking after the environment, which is what Greenpeace believes they are doing. The common good is also about respecting everyone's individual practices and culture, which Japan believes is being violated. These perspectives have different ideas of what is right and what is wrong. Therefore, they need to meet in the middle so everyone can flourish as a collective group for the sake of the common good. On one hand, we have the pro-whaling nations, particularly Japan. They believe their right to indulge in their culture has been taken away from them, even though some Japanese people claim whale meat isn't really a part of their culture. However, it is evident whale meat and other products have been widely dominant in Japan's past. From looking into the issue, it seems that principle of participation has been violated. This is because by introducing a law to stop whaling, Japan's right to continue a practice that is within their culture has been interrupted. It may seem wrong to use the scientific research excuse as a loophole to continue commercial sales of whale meat. However, from the Japanese whalers' point of view, they feel it is their only option. Not only has Japan's right to participate been taken away, but they are continually put in dangerous situations due to anti-whaling activists like Greenpeace. The amount of Japanese fleets that catch whales have been cut down due to the threat from activists. From Greenpeace's point of view and other anti-whaling groups, Japan is violating the principle stewardship of creation. Stewardship of creation is the belief that we as humans are connected to the earth and the creatures within. We have a responsibility to prevent horrific occurrences like species becoming extinct. By pro-whaling nations ignoring the total whaling ban, they are contributing to the extinction of whales. Whales are already threatened by other massive problems like climate change. The extinction of whales would be a fatality because all creatures, including humans, are interrelated and depend on each other. Allowing extinction would be the opposite direction to the common good. A final principle that both sides need to think about more carefully is the promotion of peace. This principle is about striving together to fight for justice. Here, the two issues are that a culture is being threatened and an entire species. A final principle that both sides need to think about more carefully is the promotion of peace. This principle is about striving together to fight for justice. Here, the two issues are that a culture is being threatened and an entire species. However, is the breaking of international laws peaceful? Is harassing ships peaceful? There needs to be better regulation that takes into account all points of view. In conclusion, to make things more just, the IWC should take a more scientific approach rather than emotional. This is because it would technically be unfair that there is sadness over the killing of whales when animals like cows and pigs are slaughtered in large numbers every day. From a Westerner's point of view, that may be normal. But what about someone from the Hindu religion who has a cow as their god? In order for everyone to flourish and reach the common good, we must consider all points of view. We must not forget different people have grown up with different influences and have different beliefs. Those beliefs cannot just be altered to the way you like. You must understand rather than instantly judge and criticize.